Blessings, a community of spouses. Listen, Coach T here with you this morning, this early Sunday morning as I prepare for online church. Yes, I wake up smiling when it comes down to online church, honey. I miss my church so much. But before I jump on online with church, I was laying in the bed, and one of the things the Lord brought to my spirit was something my mom spoke to me about the other day. And so today I want to share with you briefly 4 things my mom taught me about marriage. 4 things my mom taught me about marriage. But first, I want to explain to you about the categories that I'm coming from. So we know there is the right and wrong way. All right. We know there is everybody else's way. And then we know there is the truth, God's way. So let's just say that my mom fought in all 3 of those categories, okay? I've learned the good and the bad examples from my mom, the ups and the downs of marriage, the things I most admired about her, and the things I'd rather not share because if she ever sees this video, she might have a fit. I am still scared of my mom to this day. Yes, Jesus, when certain things we just don't discuss or talk about because mama be coming for us. All right. The reason this came about, like I mentioned, is that we were speaking the other day, and one of the words that came up was about growth, about her growing. And that just really hit my spirit. And so as a child, I've seen a lot of things growing up. And one thing I can say I'm absolutely certain about is God does not make any mistakes when he teams you up with people. He do not make any mistakes when he teams you up. He teams you up with the right person to produce the perfect results that he wants to happen in your life. So I know a lot of times people get caught up, oh, why I had to have this type of mom, or why I had to have this type of dad, why this kind of family, why I had to be like this, why I couldn't have that kind of family. Listen, whoever God teams you up with, it is intentional. It is intentional. And so my mom respects me as a marriage coach, but she has no idea how much I respect her authenticity, her realness, her being who she is. She don't try to cover up. She don't try to be something else. She is who she is. And so I just always say that I know I truly get that from her. She is who she is, and she speaks her mind. Sometimes she's a little bit more raw than I would be, ever. But she is who she is. And so that's one of the things I love about her. Now, I know this is not Mother's Day and nothing like that, but I just wanted to bring these things to your attention because a lot of times, in life, we go through our day-to-day life, and even especially in the marriage covenant, I know I talk a lot about, your parents hand me down, wisdom, your parents hand me down advice and stuff. But there are some things that you could get from your parents and actually take heed to and learn from. And so I want to share with you today some of those things that I learned. Sometimes as children, we don't understand why our parents do what they do or sacrifice like they sacrifice. But over the years, I've definitely learned. And so I've also learned not to judge a person before you first walk down their path and experience the things they have experienced. And so I say one of the things I always go back to is, just being separated from my husband. And, people, it's almost like when you're separated from your spouse, it's like you have a disease or something. Like people look at you like, something, what's wrong with you? Or it's almost like people look at you sideways funny because they don't want whatever you got to jump on them. They don't want to be, to affect their marriage or whatever, And so it's like, you really don't understand a person's story unless you first journey down it yourself. And so I just learned to not judge people before not actually getting to know them and hearing their side of their story. People today are so quick to judge without even knowing a person's story that they actually live. That's something that you cannot take away from that person. And so I just learned to just not do that. And So on that note, I want to share with you 4 things my mom taught me about the game of marriage. And I call it the game of marriage, but this can be in life in general. But, I have applied it to my marriage over the years. And these are just some of the things that have stood out to me that I noticed in her. And when she talked about her, her growing, I applaud her because I have seen the growth and I have seen the changes that she have made over the years. We lost our dad almost 10, 11 years ago, 12 years ago. We lost our dad a while back, and her and my dad were together and married for over 30 something years, and just seeing what she went through, the different steps. I'm the oldest of 7, so I seen a lot of it. I kind of experienced a lot of it. And so one of the things that has always stood out to me about my mom was her strength under pressure. Her strength under pressure. A lot of times when you see something like this, you thinking, and I've seen it on 2 sides. I see her, oh, I'm a strong Black woman, I'm that strong Black woman type of person. But then I have also seen her, like surpassing in trials. I've also seen her like, just getting through stuff. It's not just that toughness of being a tough, strong Black woman, but I've also actually seen her actually just having to go through things and just going through it and being able to process that. And so the Bible verse that came to me was Proverbs 31, 28 and 29, which says, her children arise and call her blessed, her husband also, and he praises her. Many women do noble things, but you suppress them all. My mom, I've always said this to her. I've always, anytime I give a dedication or a shout out to her, I always say she is a mother first, everything else second. She is a mother first and everything else second. The one thing I can remember her saying to us, especially me, growing up, is that, and to my siblings later on in life too, that she did what she had to do to keep her family together. And these days and times, a lot of people are not willing to do that. Everything is about fast. Everything is about get results right away. Nobody wants to suffer. Nobody wants to go through things. Nobody wants to deal with none of the hard stuff. And so a lot of times they're not getting the results that they want because they're not willing to stand for what they believe in. And one thing I can say for certain is my mother believed in her family. And so she stood in strength under pressure. She stood in strength. The second thing that she taught me, or that I see growing up, was her humility when stupidity was present. And I recently seen a video from a young lady called Cry Speak or something like that. And it was crazy because she talked about something similar to that. And so one of the things she said in that video that stood out to me was a lot of times people are thinking on this earth level, but we got to get to a place where we start thinking on a heavenly level, on a heavenly level, because it's on that heavenly level that we're thinking that we win the battles in life. A lot of times people are looking at life as what is right now, what is present before us right now, not thinking that this is just a place that we're passing through, not thinking that this is only temporarily. We're not getting no crowns and stuff down here. Our crowns are coming from the heavenly place, And so that was one of the things that stood out to me. And so I got the Bible verse from James 4 and 10, which says, humble yourself before the Lord and he will lift you up in honor. And one thing I have to truly say, I see my mom, just flow in, was her humility, even when she had other reasons to do other things. Now, however, she can say some things. She have a mouth out this world. Jesus come. However, I have seen her, and when it came down to the nitty gritty, when it came down to what I have seen her humble herself. And I really do believe in order for you to humble yourself in that sense, you have to have the strength from the Lord. You have to have something much, much greater than you working on the inside to get you to that place. The third thing she taught me, or the things I seen growing up, was she always used to use this term, and I hated it. I'm just being honest. You when you get a stomach full, oh my God. You will know when you get a stomach full, when you get a stomach full. And so she will always tell me that, especially when I was dating and things like that or whatever. And, even just, in my marriage, when I was going through things with my husband and stuff, she would, she'll always bring that up. And so the Bible verse, I was kind of having a hard time trying to find a Bible verse about this. But what the Lord drew me to was Romans 5:20, which says, but the law came to increase and expand the awareness of the trespass by defining and unmasking sin. But where sin increased, God's remarkable gracious gift of grace, his unmerited favor has surpassed it and increased all the more. And what I heard God say to me in that sense, and what I feel like I have learned was God he would do two things. He would either give you more grace in your situation, or he would let you know when it's time. He'll either let you know that this is a goal, you continue to pursue this, I'm going to give you what you need in this, or this is a wrap, you out of here. And so that's what I got from that. So my mom, she used to always talk about, you will know you're ready to end a thing, or when you finish with a thing, because you get a stomach full. But even in that stomach full, and I put ... and some, even in that stomach full, you have to know, especially in your marital covenant situation or any situation just in life in general, you have to know and really get the signal from God to know that, okay, I'm ready to go to the next. All right. And then the last thing, I think this is one of the most, my sisters could even testify to this. This is something that just always stood out. Sometimes in life, in marriage, just, in general, you have ugly days. You just have ugly days, whether it's an ugly attitude, whether you're feeling ugly, whether you're having an ugly moment, you have ugly days. And one thing my mother used to always tell her daughters was, you are blessed. God made you pretty. You are blessed. God made you pretty. She will walk around the house all the time, just calling us pretty. You so pretty, you so pretty, you so pretty. And so that was just something that always stuck in my head. That was something that always just, I just always in my mind, like nobody couldn't tell me anything else, because I always remember what my mom told me, I'm me being pretty. And so I put down, how you view yourself is how you would treat yourself. How you view yourself is how you would treat yourself. And then the Bible verse comes from Genesis 1:27, which simply says, so God created mankind in his own image. In the image of God, he created them, male and female. He created them. Listen, you're going to have some ugly days in marriage. You're going to have some ugly days in life. You're going to have some days when you just not feeling it. You're going to have some days when you just like, this is not it. Don't try it, whatever. But you have to know, even in those days, even in those moments, you have to learn how to pretty yourself up. You have to know how to put yourself together. You have to know how to continue to go and proceed with life. You have to know how to continue to hold your head up high and know that, listen, God's got me. I'm going to continue to move forward. I'm going to continue to go forward. Growing, the definition, I had typed this up too. Becoming greater over a period of time, increasing. And I just want to leave that with you on today. I want to leave that with you on today. Doesn't matter what you're going through in your present marital covenant. Doesn't matter what you're going through in your life, even with this pandemic and all the stuff that's taking place. The one thing you want to take hold of, the one thing you want to make sure that you're doing as time goes, as we continue to live this out, as we continue to go forward, make sure that you're growing through this. Make sure that you're learning something. Make sure that you're getting something out of all this. And so I just thought I'll just stop by this morning and share it with you, give you some encouraging words as you start your Sunday. I hope it has been a blessing to you. Blessings.